I was crouched in the hallway closet, elbow deep in Christmas decorations, when I heard my mother's voice drift from the kitchen. "She's like our personal bank, isn't she? My name is Sophia, and I've spent the last 15 years of my life renovating my parents' house. Every weekend, every vacation day, every spare dollar from my paycheck. I thought I was building my future home. Turns out, I was just the unpaid contractor." "Regina, keep your voice down," my father whispered, but his tone carried that familiar mix of guilt and amusement. I froze, my hand still wrapped around a tangled string of lights. The closet door was cracked just enough for their voices to reach me clearly. "Oh, please, she's in the basement organizing your tools again," my mother continued. "Besides, she loves feeling needed. Always has. The house is going to be perfect for Kira," my sister's voice chimed in, bright and careless. "I can't believe how much work Sophia put into the master bathroom. Those tiles must have cost a fortune." They did. $3,000, to be exact. All on my credit card. "Well, she certainly made it easy for us," Dad said. "New roof, updated electrical, that gorgeous kitchen renovation. Kira's going to have the perfect starter home." "Starter home?" Kira laughed. "Dad, this place is worth $400,000 now. Owen and I could live here for years." My chest tightened. Owen, Kira's fiancé of 6 months, who'd never so much as picked up a paintbrush, but would apparently be living in the house I'd rebuilt from the ground up. "The timing worked out perfectly," Mom said. "Sophia's been so focused on the renovations, she never asked about the deed transfer. Sometimes I think she actually believes we'd leave the house to her." The laughter that followed felt like ice water in my veins. "Can you imagine?" Kira giggled. "What would she do with a 4-bedroom house? She doesn't even date anymore. At least Owen and I will fill it with grandchildren. Speaking of which," Dad's voice dropped conspiratorially, "we should probably tell her soon, about the house going to Kira after the wedding." "Why rush?" Mom's tone was dismissive. "Let her finish the guest bathroom first. You know how she gets when a project isn't complete." I knew exactly how I got. Obsessive, perfectionist, reliable Sophia, who never left anything half done. "She's been working on that bathroom for 3 weeks, Kira said. "Hand-laying every single tile. I almost feel bad." "Don't," Mom said firmly. "She chose to do all this work. No one forced her. And it's not like she can't afford it. She makes good money at the firm. Good money that I'd been pouring into their house for over a decade. The house I'd assumed would be mine, because they'd told me it would be mine. The house where I'd spent countless evenings after work, weekends and vacation days, making it beautiful. Besides," Mom continued, "Sophia's always been the responsible one. She understands family obligations. She'll be happy for Kira." "She better be," Kira said with a laugh. "I'm not giving up my dream house because she's having some kind of midlife crisis." Dream house, built with my hands, my money, my 15 years of weekends. I carefully extracted myself from the closet, my movements deliberate and silent. The Christmas decorations could wait. Everything could wait. I walked to the basement, where my father's newly organized tool collection gleamed under the fluorescent lights I'd installed last month. The pegboard I'd mounted, the workbench I'd built. My phone buzzed. A text from Kira. "Can you grab wine for dinner tomorrow? Mom's making your favorite pasta." My favorite pasta. In the kitchen, I'd gutted and rebuilt. At the table, I'd refinished. For the family dinner, where they'd probably announce their generous gift to my sister, I stared at the text for a long moment, then typed back, "Of course. Anything else you need?" "You're the best," Love you. I set the phone down and looked around the basement. Every pipe, every wire, every square foot of drywall. I'd touched it all, improved it all, paid for it all. That's when something shifted inside me. Not anger, exactly. Something colder, more precise. I pulled out my laptop and opened a new spreadsheet. Column A, date. Column B, materials. Column C, labor hours. Column D, cost. 15 years of data to compile. 15 years of receipts to gather. 15 years of assumptions to correct. That's the moment I stopped being their daughter and became their creditor. I called Nicole at 8 the next morning. Sophia, it's Saturday. Are you dying? I need a lawyer, I said, stirring my coffee with mechanical precision. A good one. Well, you called the right person. What's going on? I told her everything. The overheard conversation, the years of renovations, the casual way they'd discussed giving away my work to Kira. Nicole listened without interrupting, which is why we'd been friends since college. Jesus, she said when I finished. How much money are we talking about? I'm still calculating, but Nicole, it's not just the money, it's 15 years of my life. Okay, slow down. Do you have documentation? Receipts? Contracts? Anything in writing? Receipts? Yes. Contracts? No. They're my parents. I trusted them. Of course you did. Look, meet me at my office in an hour. Bring whatever paperwork you have. I spent the next 45 minutes in my parents' attic, digging through boxes of old receipts. Home Depot, Lowe's, the tile specialty shop, paint stores, contractor payments when jobs were too big for me to handle alone. The numbers were staggering. Even I hadn't realized how much I'd spent. Nicole's office smelled like coffee and legal briefs. She spread my receipts across her conference table like evidence at a crime scene. Sophia, this is... She picked up a receipt from 2019. You paid for a new HVAC system? That's $12,000. The old one died during the kitchen renovation. They needed heat. And this? She held up another receipt. Hardwood flooring for the entire second floor. Kira complained the carpet was outdated. Nicole set the receipt down carefully. Honey, you've spent over $60,000 on this house. That's just materials. We're not even counting your labor. The number hit me like a physical blow. $60,000. My car was paid off because I'd been putting every spare cent into their house instead. There's something else, Nicole said, her voice gentler now. I ran a preliminary title search this morning. The deed was modified 2 years ago. Modified how? Your parents added Kira as a future beneficiary. It's all legal, but they've been planning this for a while. I stared at the papers she slid across the table. There it was, in black and white. My sister's name, added to the deed while I was installing crown molding in their dining room. Can I fight this? Maybe. But, Sophia, there's a better way. You performed substantial improvements on their property. You have receipts proving you paid for materials and labor. In this state, you can file a mechanic's lien. What does that mean? It means the house can't be sold or transferred until you're compensated for your work. It's designed to protect contractors who improve properties and don't get paid. But I'm not a contractor. I'm their daughter. Legally, it doesn't matter. You performed work, you paid for materials, you weren't compensated. The relationship is irrelevant. I thought about Kira's laugh yesterday, about Mom calling me their personal bank, about 15 years of weekends spent making their house beautiful while my own apartment remained a rental with beige walls. How long would a lien last? Until you're paid in full, or you release it voluntarily. The house is essentially frozen. And if they can't pay, then the house stays frozen. No sale, no transfer, no refinancing. Nothing. I picked up one of the receipts. $1,000 for bathroom tiles that Kira would walk on every morning. Tiles I'd laid by hand, one by one, thinking I was building my future. File it, I said. Sophia, are you sure? This will destroy your relationship with your family. Nicole, they destroyed it first. I just didn't know it yet. She nodded slowly. I'll need you to document your labor hours as best you can. Keep it conservative. We want this to be bulletproof. How long will it take? I can file the paperwork Monday morning. They'll be notified within 48 hours. I imagined my mother's face when she received the legal documents. The shock, the outrage, the inevitable phone call where she'd demand to know how I could do this to family. There's one more thing, Nicole said. Once this is filed, there's no going back quietly. This becomes public record. Anyone can see it. Good, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. Let them see it. I drove home past my parents' house. My house, really, considering how much of myself I'd poured into it. The new shutters I'd installed last fall looked perfect against the siding I'd pressure-washed and painted. The garden I'd landscaped was starting to bloom. Kira's car was in the driveway, probably inside planning her wedding, in the house she thought would be her gift. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Don't forget dinner tomorrow. Can't wait to celebrate as a family. I typed back. Wouldn't miss it. Some celebrations are worth waiting for. I spent Sunday morning in the attic again, this time with a system. 3 boxes, receipts, photos, and correspondence. 15 years of evidence that I'd been more than just a helpful daughter. The photos were the hardest to look at. Before and after shots I'd taken to track my progress. The kitchen in 2018, gutted down to the studs. The same kitchen 6 months later, gleaming with granite countertops and custom cabinets. All purchased with my credit cards. I found a card buried in the correspondence box. Father's Day, 2014. Dad's handwriting in blue ink. Sophia, thank you for everything you do for this family. This house will always be yours. Love, Dad. I photographed the card and added it to my growing file. My phone rang. Kira. Hey, can you come over early today? Owen wants to see the guest bathroom before dinner. Sure, I'll be there in an hour. Perfect. Oh, and bring that wine you picked up. Owen's been dying to try it. The wine I'd bought for my own farewell dinner. How fitting. I arrived to find Owen in the guest bathroom, running his hands along the subway tiles I'd spent 3 weeks installing. This is incredible work, he said, not looking up. These tiles must have cost a fortune. They did, I said simply. Kira's lucky to have such a talented sister. I can't believe you did all this yourself. Kira appeared in the doorway, beaming. Isn't she amazing? Sophia's been working on this house forever. It's like her hobby. Some hobby, Owen said, examining the custom vanity I'd built from scratch. This is professional-grade work. Sophia's always been handy, Kira said dismissively. Mom says she gets it from Dad's side. Owen looked at me directly for the first time. You should be charging for this kind of work. Maybe I should, I said, meeting his gaze. Something flickered in his expression. Understanding, maybe. Or recognition. Dinner's ready, Mom called from downstairs. We gathered around the dining room table I'd refinished 2 summers ago. The chandelier I'd installed cast warm light over the meal Mom had prepared in the kitchen I'd rebuilt. So, Dad said, raising his wine glass, we have some exciting news to share. Kira practically bounced in her seat. Should I tell them, or do you want to? Go ahead, sweetheart. Owen and I have been talking with Mom and Dad about the house, Kira said, her voice bright with excitement. And they've decided to give it to us as a wedding gift. Owen's smile looked forced. That's very generous. Isn't it? Kira grabbed his hand. We'll have so much space for kids, and Sophia's made it absolutely perfect. It's what families do, Mom said, looking directly at me. We take care of each other. I sipped my wine and said nothing. The timing works out perfectly, Dad added. We've been thinking about downsizing anyway. This way, the house stays in the family. What do you think, Sophia? Kira asked. Isn't it wonderful? I set down my wine glass carefully. It's certainly something. I know you put a lot of work into this place, Mom said, her tone patronizing. But seeing it go to Kira must make you happy. All that effort wasn't for nothing. No, I said quietly. It wasn't for nothing. Owen was watching me closely now. He'd been quiet through most of the conversation, but his eyes kept returning to my face. When's the transfer happening? I asked. Right after the wedding, Dad said. Santiago's handling all the paperwork. Santiago? The realtor. Of course they'd already involved professionals. That's next month, right? I asked Kira. 3 weeks. I can't wait. Owen's already talking about what we want to change. Change? I looked at Owen. What would you change? He shifted uncomfortably. Well, maybe the master bedroom. The color scheme is a bit dated. The master bedroom I'd painted last year, the one with the custom built-ins I'd designed and installed myself. Of course, I said. You'll want to make it your own. Exactly, Kira said. It's going to be our forever home. I raised my glass. To unexpected costs. Everyone drank, but Owen's eyes never left mine. After dinner, I helped Mom clear the table while Kira and Owen looked at wedding magazines in the living room. You're being very quiet tonight, Mom said, loading the dishwasher I'd installed. Just thinking. About what? About how much this house is worth now, with all the improvements. Mom's hands stilled. Why would you think about that? Just curious. I've put a lot of work into it over the years. Work you chose to do, she said sharply. No one forced you. You're right. I chose to do it. I dried my hands on the kitchen towel and walked toward the front door. Leaving already? Dad called out. Early day tomorrow. Thanks for dinner. As I reached for my coat, I heard Owen's voice from the living room. Kira, we need to talk about the house situation. I paused, my hand on the doorknob. What about it? Kira asked. I just think we should understand all the financial implications. I smiled and stepped into the night air. Tomorrow, Nicole would file the paperwork. By Wednesday, Santiago would be making some very interesting phone calls. Some gifts come with strings attached. Mine came with liens. Nicole called me Tuesday morning. It's done. The lien is filed and recorded. Your parents should receive notification today. How long before they call Santiago? Probably within the hour. Sophia, are you ready for this? I looked around my sparse apartment, then at the photo on my desk. Me, covered in paint, grinning in front of the kitchen I'd just finished. I'd been so proud that day. I'm ready. The call came at 2:47 p.m. Mom's contact photo filled my screen, but I let it go to voicemail. Then Dad called. Then Kira. Then Mom again. I turned off my phone and went back to work. By Thursday, Kira was waiting in my office parking lot. "Sophia, we need to talk." Her face was blotchy, like she'd been crying. "About what?" "Don't play dumb. Santiago called Dad yesterday. There's some kind of legal problem with the house." "What kind of problem?" "A lien for $67,000 with your name on it." I unlocked my car door. "That sounds serious." "Sophia, what did you do?" "I documented my work, just like any contractor would." "Contractor?" Her voice cracked. "You're our sister, not a contractor." "Funny, I've been doing contractor work for 15 years. I just never sent a bill. This is insane. You can't sue your own family." "I'm not suing anyone. I filed a mechanics lien. It's perfectly legal." Kira grabbed my arm. "The wedding is in 2 weeks. Owen's parents are flying in from California. We've already sent invitations with the house address." "Sounds stressful." "Sophia, please, just undo this. We can work something out." "Work what out?" "I don't know. Maybe Mom and Dad can pay you back over time, or $67,000. Over time." I pulled my arm free. "Kira, they don't have that kind of money. You know that." "Then what do you want?" "I want what I'm owed. Nothing more, nothing less." She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "I don't understand what's happening to you." "I'm finally understanding what happened to me." I drove home to find my parents' car in my parking spot. They were sitting on my front steps, looking older than I'd ever seen them. "Sophia." Dad stood up slowly. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About this lien nonsense," Mom said, her voice sharp despite her red-rimmed eyes. "Santiago says the house can't be transferred until it's resolved." "That's how liens work." "This is ridiculous," Mom continued. "You're destroying Kira's wedding over what? Some receipts?" $67,000 in receipts. Dad pulled out a folded paper. "We went to the bank today. They won't approve the refinancing with this lien hanging over the house." "That's unfortunate." "Sophia, please," he said. "We raised you better than this." "You raised me to be useful. Mission accomplished." Mom's composure cracked. "How can you be so cruel? Kira's been planning this wedding for months. She's already picked out nursery colors for the spare bedroom." "The spare bedroom I painted. Twice. We'll pay you back," Dad said desperately. "We'll figure something out." "With what money? You've been living paycheck to paycheck for years. That's why I've been funding all the renovations." "We never asked you to. You never asked me not to, either. You just let me keep paying while you planned to give it all to Kira." Mom stood up, her face flushed. "She's our daughter, too. She deserves what she's earned, just like I do." "This isn't about money," Dad said quietly. "This is about family." "You're right. It's about a family that treated me like a bank account with legs." "That's not fair," Mom protested. "Fair?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Was it fair when you added Kira to the deed 2 years ago without telling me? Was it fair when you called me your personal bank while I was organizing Dad's tools in the basement I waterproofed?" They both went silent. "You heard that?" Dad asked finally. "Every word, including the part where you laughed about me thinking I'd inherit the house." Mom's face went pale. "Sophia, we didn't mean—" "You meant every word. You just didn't mean for me to hear it." My phone buzzed. A text from Owen. "Can we meet? I think we should talk." I showed them the screen. Looks like your future son-in-law wants to chat, probably about the financial liability he's marrying into. Owen loves Kira, Mom said weakly. Owen loves the idea of a free house. Without that. I shrugged. Dad sat back down heavily. What do you want from us, Sophia? I want what any contractor wants. Payment for services rendered. And if we can't pay? Then the house stays exactly where it is, with a lien attached. Forever, if necessary. I walked past them toward my front door. Sophia! Mom called out. Please don't do this to your sister. I turned back. I'm not doing anything to Kira. I'm doing something for me, for the first time in my life. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. I met Owen at a coffee shop downtown Friday morning. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Thank you for coming, he said, sliding into the booth across from me. Kira doesn't know you're here, does she? No. He rubbed his face. She thinks I'm at work. Smart. What do you want to discuss? The house situation. Sophia, I need you to understand something. I care about Kira, but you're not marrying her for love. He went still. That's not what I said. You didn't have to. I saw your face Sunday night when you realized the house came with complications. Owen stared into his coffee. When I met Kira, she talked about her family's house constantly. How beautiful it was, how much it was worth. She made it sound like we were wealthy, like you were stable, established, the kind of family that passes down generational wealth. Instead, you found out we're the kind of family that passes down debt. The lien changes everything. Even if your parents could somehow pay you, the house would be mortgaged to the hilt. There's no equity left. And that matters to you? He looked up sharply. I'm not the villain here, Sophia. I'm 28 years old. I want financial security. Is that so wrong? It's honest. More honest than my family's been with me. What would it take to release the lien? $67,000. Cash. That's impossible. Your parents don't have that kind of money. I know. So, what's your endgame? You destroy Kira's wedding, break up her engagement, and then what? You all live happily ever after. I sipped my coffee slowly. Owen, let me ask you something. If the house situation was resolved tomorrow, would you still marry my sister? He was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. That's what I thought. We're not compatible in the ways that matter long term. Like what? Money, responsibility, planning for the future. Kira thinks everything will just work out because it always has. Someone's always fixed her problems. Someone like me. Exactly, but I can't be that person. I won't be. My phone buzzed. A text from Kira. Where are you? Mom's freaking out. Santiago called again. I showed Owen the screen. Sounds like reality is setting in. Sophia, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Is there any scenario where you release this lien? Yes, when I'm paid in full. That's never going to happen. Then I guess we're at an impasse. Owen leaned forward. What if I told you I was planning to end the engagement anyway? Would that change anything? Why would it? Because then you'd get what you want, without destroying your relationship with your family. Owen, my relationship with my family was destroyed the moment they decided to give away 15 years of my work without telling me. I just didn't know it yet. He nodded slowly. I understand, and for what it's worth, I think you're right to do this. Thank you. But I need you to know that when I end things with Kira, she's going to blame you. They all will. They already do. I drove to my parents' house after work. 3 cars in the driveway. Theirs, Kira's, and one I didn't recognize. Through the window, I could see them gathered around the dining room table with a man in a suit. I knocked and walked in. The conversation stopped immediately. Sophia, Dad said, this is Mr. Patterson from the bank. The man stood and extended his hand. Ms. Shaw, I was hoping we could discuss the lien situation. What about it? Well, your parents are hoping to refinance the property to pay off your claim, but with the lien in place, we can't approve the loan. That sounds like a bank problem, not a me problem. Kira's face was streaked with tears. Sophia, please, the wedding is next week. I'm aware. Mr. Patterson, Mom said desperately, isn't there some way around this? Some kind of payment plan? I'm afraid not. The lien has to be satisfied before we can proceed with any financing. What if we sold the house? Dad asked. Same issue. The lien would have to be paid from the proceeds before you could access any equity. I sat down at the table. Sounds like you're stuck. We're family, Mom said, her voice breaking. Families don't do this to each other. You're right. They don't secretly transfer deeds. They don't mock each other behind closed doors. They don't take 15 years of someone's life and give it away like a party favor. We never meant. You meant exactly what you did. You just didn't expect consequences. Mr. Patterson cleared his throat. Perhaps we could discuss a partial payment. Something to show good faith? How much? I asked. Dad pulled out a bank statement. We have about $3,000 in savings. $3,000 on a $67,000 debt? It's a start, he said weakly. It's insulting. Kira slammed her hand on the table. Fine. You want to ruin my life? Congratulations. Owen's already talking about postponing the wedding. Postponing or cancelling? Her face crumpled. I don't know. He won't give me a straight answer. I stood up. Mr. Patterson, thank you for your time. I think we're done here. Sophia, wait, Dad called out. I turned back. What? Is there anything we can do? Anything at all? Pay me what you owe me. We can't. Then we have nothing else to discuss. I walked toward the door, then stopped. Oh, and Dad? Remember that Father's Day card you wrote me in 2014? The one where you promised this house would always be mine? I kept it. My lawyer found it very interesting. The silence behind me was deafening. Some promises are worth keeping, even when the people who made them aren't. Ruby called me Saturday morning, her voice practically vibrating with excitement. Sophia, honey, I just saw the most interesting post on the neighborhood Facebook group. Did you? Santiago posted about a property dispute on Maple Street. He didn't mention names, but everyone knows which house he means. The one with all those beautiful renovations. How unfortunate for him. Sophia Shaw, don't you play coy with me. Half the neighborhood is talking about your family's drama. I could hear her typing in the background. Ruby never could resist a good story. What are they saying? Well, Janet Morrison said she always wondered how your parents could afford such expensive improvements on your father's pension. And Carol from the book club mentioned seeing you there every weekend for years. Interesting. Honey, is it true? Did you really put a lien on your parents' house? I documented my work, that's all. Good for you. I always said that family took advantage of your generous nature. My phone beeped with another call. Kira, Ruby, I have to go. Of course, dear. But Sophia, the whole neighborhood is rooting for you. I switched to Kira's call. Hello? Have you seen Facebook? Her voice was shrill. I don't use Facebook. Well, everyone else does. Ruby posted about our family situation in the neighborhood group. She mentioned you by name. What did she say? She called you a hard-working daughter who finally stood up for herself. Sophia, people are commenting. Mrs. Henderson said she remembers you working on the house during Christmas vacation. Mrs. Henderson has a good memory. This isn't funny. Owen's parents are flying in tomorrow for the wedding. What if they see this? Then they'll be well-informed guests. Sophia, please, I'm begging you. Owen's been acting strange all week. He keeps asking about the house situation and whether it's really going to be resolved. What do you tell him? I tell him of course it will be, that you're just upset and you'll come to your senses. And what does he say? Silence. Kira, what does Owen say? He says he needs to think about things. Smart man. Don't you dare. Sophia, I love him. I can't lose him over this stupid house. The house isn't stupid when you want to live in it for free. That's not... God, when did you become so cold? When I realized I was the only one in this family paying full price for everything. She hung up. Sunday morning, Owen called. It's over, he said without preamble. The engagement? I told her last night, after her parents left. How did she take it? About as well as you'd expect. She threw her ring at me and said it was all your fault. And you said, I said her family's financial problems were just the final straw, that we weren't compatible anyway. How honest of you. Sophia, she's going to blame you for this, completely. You know that, right? I know. Are you prepared for that? I've been preparing for it my whole life without realizing it. What do you mean? I mean, I've been the family scapegoat since I was 12. This is just the first time I've earned it. Monday morning, Nicole called with an update. Santiago contacted me. Your parents want to meet. About what? They're proposing a settlement. $20,000 and you release the lien. 20,000? That's less than a third of what they owe me. I told them that. They said it's all they can raise by selling their car and borrowing against your father's pension. What did you tell them? That I'd present the offer to you. But, Sophia, I have to ask, are you sure you want to push this all the way? Why? Because your sister showed up at my office this morning. She's pregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? About 6 weeks along, she says. She was crying, begging me to convince you to drop the lien. She said the stress is making her sick. Did she know before the engagement ended? I don't think so. She seemed genuinely shocked when she found out. And Owen? She hasn't told him yet. She's hoping if the house situation gets resolved, she can win him back. I sat down, heavily. A baby. Kira was having a baby, and Owen had no idea. Sophia, are you there? I'm here. What do you want me to tell your parents about the settlement offer? I thought about Kira, pregnant and alone, about my parents, desperate and broke, about Owen, who'd walked away from what he thought was just a financial mess. Tell them no. Are you sure? Nicole, if I take $20,000, what happens to the other $47,000 I'm owed? You'd have to write it off. So I'd still be subsidizing their lives, just at a discount. That's one way to look at it. It's the only way to look at it. The answer is no. What if they can't pay the full amount? Then the lien stays in place. Forever? If necessary. Sophia, your sister is pregnant. Doesn't that change anything? It changes everything for her. It changes nothing for me. That's pretty cold. Nicole, you're my lawyer, not my therapist. File whatever paperwork you need to file. I hung up and stared out my office window. Somewhere across town, Kira was probably crying over a positive pregnancy test and a broken engagement. Somewhere else, Owen was probably relieved he'd dodged a bullet. And somewhere in between, my parents were learning that some debts can't be negotiated away. Some lessons are expensive. This one was going to cost them everything. Kira showed up at my apartment Tuesday night, still in her work clothes. Her face was puffy from crying, and she looked smaller somehow. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked to my couch and sat down heavily. I'm pregnant. I heard. Owen doesn't know yet. Are you going to tell him? I don't know. He won't return my calls. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. Sophia, I need the house. I need something stable for the baby. You need to tell Owen he's going to be a father. What if he doesn't want it? What if he just disappears completely? Then you'll figure it out, like millions of other single mothers do. With what money? I work retail, Sophia. I make $12 an hour. You should have thought about that before you got pregnant. She flinched like I'd slapped her. God, what happened to you? You used to care about me. I used to care about everyone in this family. Look where it got me. Sophia, please, I'm begging you, drop the lien. Let me have the house. I'll pay you back somehow. With what? Your $12 an hour job? I'll get a better job. I'll work 2 jobs if I have to. You've never worked 2 jobs in your life. You've never had to because someone always bailed you out. Because I'm your sister. And I'm yours. But that didn't stop you from laughing about me behind my back. Kira started crying again. We didn't mean it. We were excited about the house. You were excited about getting something for free that I paid for. Fine. You're right. We took advantage of you. Is that what you want to hear? It's a start. So, what now? You destroy my life to prove a point? I'm not destroying anything. I'm collecting what I'm owed. The same thing. No, Kira, it's not. She wiped her nose with her sleeve. Mom and Dad are talking about bankruptcy. That's unfortunate. They're 66 and 62 years old. They can't start over. They should have thought about that before they spent 15 years spending my money. It wasn't just your money. They contributed too. How much? What? How much did they contribute? Give me a number. She was quiet. I can tell you exactly how much I spent. $67,432, plus approximately 3,000 hours of labor at market rate. So, what did they contribute? They let you do the work. They let me pay for the privilege of doing the work. Sophia, I'm scared. I don't know how to do this alone. You're not alone. You have Mom and Dad. They're broke because of you. They're broke because they lived beyond their means for decades and used me as their personal credit line. Kira stood up abruptly. I can't believe you're going to let your nephew or niece grow up in poverty because you're mad about some receipts. Some receipts? You know what I mean. No, I don't. Explain it to me. It's just money, Sophia. It's just stuff. But this is a baby we're talking about. It's my money, my stuff. My 15 years of weekends and vacations and credit card debt. And it's my baby. Your baby. Your responsibility. She stared at me for a long moment. I don't know who you are anymore. I'm the same person I've always been. I'm just not paying for everyone else's mistakes anymore. This is a mistake? My baby is a mistake. Getting pregnant by a man who doesn't want to marry you? Yeah, that's a mistake. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. You're going to regret this. Maybe, but I'm not going to subsidize it. She slammed the door behind her. Wednesday morning, Nicole called. Your parents want to meet with me directly, without you. About what? They think they can convince me to talk you out of this. Can they? Sophia, I'm your lawyer. I work for you, but I have to ask, are you sure this is what you want? Why does everyone keep asking me that? Because your sister is pregnant, and your parents are talking about losing their house. They're not losing their house. They're losing the ability to give it away. Same result. No, it's not. They can live in that house for the rest of their lives. They just can't transfer it to Kira without paying me first. And if they die? Then the lien transfers to their estate. Kira can inherit the house if she pays off the debt. With what money? That's not my problem. Sophia, listen to yourself. You're talking about your family like they're strangers. They treated me like a stranger. They just didn't expect me to return the favor. Fine, I'll meet with your parents, but I'm not changing my position. Good. There's something else. Owen called me. What did he want? He wanted to know if the lien would be released if he married Kira. What did you tell him? I told him the lien has nothing to do with their relationship status. And? He seemed relieved. I bet he did. Sophia, he doesn't know about the baby. That's between him and Kira. You could tell him. I could do a lot of things. That doesn't mean I should. What if he wants to be involved? What if he'd marry her if he knew? Then Kira should tell him. It's not my job to manage her relationships anymore. Even if it would solve everything. Nicole, it wouldn't solve anything. It would just create new problems. How do you know? Because I've been solving their problems my whole life. Trust me, there's always another one. That evening, I drove past the house. The for sale sign was gone, but there was a new sign in the yard. Property encumbered by lien. Contact attorney for details. I parked across the street and looked at the house I'd spent 15 years perfecting. The windows I'd replaced. The roof I'd helped re-shingle. The garden I'd planted and maintained. It was beautiful. It was also mine, in every way that mattered. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Please call me. We need to talk. I deleted the message and drove home. Some conversations are over before they begin. Santiago called me Thursday morning. Ms. Shaw, I need to inform you that your parents have officially taken the house off the market. The lien makes it impossible to sell. I understand. They're also behind on their mortgage payments. The bank is starting foreclosure proceedings. That's unfortunate. Ma'am, if the house goes into foreclosure, your lien could be wiped out. You might not recover anything. Then, I guess they better figure out how to pay their mortgage. With what money? They can't refinance, they can't sell, and they can't transfer the property. You've essentially frozen their only asset. I've secured my debt. That's what liens are for. Ms. Shaw, I've been in real estate for 20 years. I've never seen a family situation quite like this. I'm sure you haven't. Is there any way to resolve this? Any compromise you'd consider? $67,432, cash. That's impossible. Then we don't have anything to discuss. I hung up and went back to work. Around noon, Ruby called. Honey, you need to see what's happening on Facebook. I told you, I don't use Facebook. Well, you should start. Your mother posted in the neighborhood group. What did she say? She's asking for donations. Says the family is facing financial hardship due to a frivolous lawsuit from an ungrateful daughter. Interesting choice of words. Sophia, people are not responding well. Janet Morrison commented that she watched you work on that house every weekend for years. Carol mentioned seeing you there during holidays. What else? Mrs. Henderson shared a photo from last Christmas. You're on their roof, hanging lights in the snow. She captioned it, "This is the ungrateful daughter." People are defending me? Honey, the whole neighborhood knows what you did for that family. Your mother's post is backfiring spectacularly. Friday afternoon, Nicole called with an update. Your parents met with a bankruptcy attorney. And the house would be protected in bankruptcy, but they'd still owe you the money. The lien doesn't disappear. Good to know. Sophia, there's something else. Owen contacted Kira. About what? He found out about the baby. Someone told him. Who? Ruby, apparently. She ran into him at the grocery store and congratulated him on becoming a father. How did he react? He's asking for a paternity test. Smart man. Kira's devastated. She thought he'd want to get back together. Reality is often disappointing. Sophia, your sister is 6 months pregnant, unemployed, and living with your broke parents in a house that can't be sold. Don't you feel anything? I feel like I'm finally getting what I paid for. Which is what, exactly? Peace. Saturday morning, I was cleaning my apartment when someone knocked. I opened the door to find my father alone. Can I come in? I stepped aside. He looked around my sparse living room, taking in the second-hand furniture and bare walls. You live like this while we lived in luxury. I lived like this because I was paying for your luxury. He sat down heavily. I came to apologize. For what? For taking advantage of you. For taking you for granted. For calling you a failure. When did you call me a failure? Last week, when your mother was yelling about the lien. I said you were the real failure because you were too dependable to respect. The words hit exactly as hard as he'd intended. I was wrong, he continued. You weren't the failure. We were. We failed you. Yes, you did. Is there any way to fix this? Pay me what you owe me. We can't. Then there's nothing to fix. He pulled out an envelope. This came for you yesterday. Owen dropped it off. I took the envelope but didn't open it. Sophia, your sister lost the baby. The words hung in the air between us. When? Yesterday. She's not handling it well. I'm sorry for her loss. That's all. Your sister just lost her baby, and that's all you have to say. What would you like me to say? That you'll drop this ridiculous lien. That family matters more than money. Dad, if family mattered more than money, you wouldn't have spent 15 years using me as your personal ATM. He stood up. I don't know who you've become, but you're not the daughter I raised. You're right. The daughter you raised would have forgiven you by now. She would have dropped the lien and written off the debt and gone back to fixing everyone's problems. And what's wrong with that? She was broke. She was lonely. She was tired. And she was invisible to the people who claimed to love her. So, this is revenge. This is business. You taught me the difference. He walked to the door, then turned back. The house is going into foreclosure next month. The bank will auction it off. You'll lose everything. No, Dad, you'll lose everything. I already lost it 15 years ago. I just didn't know it yet. After he left, I opened Owen's letter. It was brief. Sophia, I wanted you to know that I admired your strength throughout this situation. You saw clearly what I took months to understand. I hope you find the peace you're looking for. Owen. I folded the letter and put it in my desk drawer, then picked up my phone. Nicole, it's me. I want you to contact the bank handling the foreclosure. Why? I want to bid on the house at auction. With what money? I have savings, and I know exactly what that house is worth. Sophia, that's brilliant. If you buy it at auction, you'd own it free and clear. And the lien? Would be satisfied as part of the purchase. You'd essentially be paying yourself. Perfect. What about your family? What about them? They'd be homeless. They can rent, like I've been doing for 15 years. 3 weeks later, I stood in the courthouse as the auctioneer called out the address. The bidding started at $40,000. I waited. $50,000. $60,000. $70,000. I raised my hand. $75,000. The room went quiet. The auctioneer looked around. Going once, going twice, sold to bidder number 12. I signed the paperwork and wrote the check. The house was mine. That evening, I drove to Maple Street and parked in the driveway. My driveway. I walked through the rooms I'd renovated, touching the walls I'd painted, the fixtures I'd installed, the floors I'd refinished. In the kitchen, I found a note on the counter. We're staying with Kira until we figure things out. The spare key is under the mat. Mom. I crumpled the note and threw it away, then changed the locks. Ruby called the next morning. Honey, I saw the auction results online. You bought your parents' house? I bought my house. What are you going to do with it? Live in it. It's what I always planned to do. And your family? They'll figure it out. They always do. Sophia, people are calling you heartless. People called me generous for 15 years. Look where that got me. Don't you feel guilty? Ruby, I spent $67,000 in 15 years of my life on that house. I bought it at auction for $75,000. I'm still out money. But your family... My family taught me that everything has a price. They just didn't expect to pay it. I hung up and walked through my house, my actual house, planning where to put my furniture, my books, my life. In the master bedroom, I found one last thing, a photo of all of us from last Christmas, smiling in front of the tree I'd bought and decorated. I looked happy in the picture. Proud. I was still proud. Just not of them. I turned their prize into a liability, then made it mine. That's karma. She doesn't scream. She invoices.